Hello, and welcome to another edition of Emotions Expert. I'm John Rushton. A topic which is quite common is that of people changing their minds. We all change our minds from time to time. There's nothing wrong with that. We think about something and we make a decision, and then on reflection we look at it again and we think, well, maybe it's not quite as good as we originally thought, because there are other things which have come into our thought process, and we've now looked at it a little more fully, and we've decided that this isn't really what we want to do, so we'll now change it, or we'll stop altogether, or something of that nature. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind. There are those, however, who will eternally procrastinate, and there are those who eternally change their mind. They can't make a decision. They make one decision and they speak to somebody else and they go with what they do. Then they speak to somebody else and they go with what they do. And they speak to somebody else and they go with what they do. And eventually they've changed their mind so many times, they're in such a quandary. They're not sure what they're doing and why they're doing it, and if in fact they want to do it at all. So you've got to actually listen to people and understand why they have changed their minds. As I've mentioned, you can change your mind because you've had deeper thought about something, and on reflection it's not what you really want to do, or there are implications, or initial things are not what they seem, so therefore you want to do something. Or it could be that other stuff's come up in between which makes what you wanted to do not feasible anymore. And there are lots of things. You don't have to explain things to people as to why you've changed your mind, because stuff happens. But you've got to understand, when you're changing your mind, that there are lots of implications for other people as well. And it doesn't mean you can't change your mind, even if there are implications. I mean, this is what life's all about. It's making the best decision for yourself. And you have to make the best decision for yourself. Don't go along with the flow, because if you go along with the flow, you may go somewhere you don't want to go. And that expression is, if you go with the flow, the most common things which go with the flow are dead salmon and used toilet paper. So you've got to actually see what you want to do in life and change it accordingly, so you're making the very, very best decision. For people around you, if you're a person which is actually organising something, you've got to understand that there are people who may say yes, or we'll come along with you, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do something else, and then they will change their mind, and that's just par for the course. This is why you do what you do, because you understand this and you've actually put this into your thought process and you factored it into what you're doing. So when people say, okay, fine, you're not doing this, right, that's one off the list, another off the list, another off the list. So we've still got plenty of people, and that's okay, this is what normally happens, and so on and so forth. But for those people who eternally change their mind, you've got to make a decision for them sometimes. Otherwise, you get screwed up yourself. And if someone keeps changing their mind, it may be that someone's changed their mind twice or three times. Okay, fair enough. If that's happened, that's happened. But when it starts to get beyond that, you want to say, listen, you either say yes or no, because the next decision will be exactly what it is. If you say yes, we will charge you for it. If you say no, you're off, and that's it. There's no alternative. You can't come back, because we have got to progress forward. We've got to do something. And so you've got to make that decision whether you like it or not. And you've got to foot the bill if you say yes, because we will charge you, you'll pay for it, and there's no refund, because you've now, this is the fourth, fifth, sixth time. We can't keep on like this. You're messing everything up because of your great indecision. Okay, fine, but in life, even in daily shopping, you can look at something and you can go back to something and you can see something, and maybe a sweater or a coat or some shoes, and you try them on and you walk round and you go back and you try them again. And there could be other factors put into this, maybe the cost, maybe the colour, maybe you're not sure, maybe you just really like them but you don't need them, but you still thought, well, they're very nice, so I'd rather have them, and they're umming and ahhing because the signal within isn't that strong to say yes, go and get them. So you're trying to fight in your own mind as to make a decision and thinking yes, and so this dichotomy within saying go on, go and have it, no I don't want it, yes I do, no I don't, and so on and so forth. And these things, this happens quite a lot. But you've got to make a figure of the decision. You've got to actually figure it out yourself and think, right, this is what I want to do. And when you make a decision, make it. Make it based on a good thought and not on the spur of the moment, because a lot of spur of the moment decisions are not always that good. If you're buying clothes and you like it, fine. You may just like the colour, the size, it's there, it's on a bargain or something, you've got to get it, because if you don't get it now, it'll go within a very short space of time, and that'll be the opportunity lost. But taking that aside, if it's something to do with your life, what you're doing, how you're doing it, you should feel something which resonates within yourself, something which feels good and wholesome. And if it feels good and wholesome, it's generally something which is quite pucker. It's something which is quite good. And therefore, you've got to go with that. Don't be the person that ends up umming and ahhing, because if you do, you'll always be upset. You'll never get what you want, and you'll let yourself down continually. So make sure that when you change your mind, it's for a good reason and not because you haven't thought something through. If you do that, you're always going to be a failure in life. You're always going to be second best. You're never going to do what you really want to do. You're going to miss out on endless opportunities. You're going to be at the bottom of the pile perpetually. Nothing is going to change, and you're going to make your life a misery. And other people won't invite you because they'll never know whether you mean it or you don't mean it, whether you say yes or no. So think carefully when you make a decision. And when you've made a decision, make it.